I think it was very thoughtful, and I'm sure that it took a lot of hours of deliberation and observation, not only of Judge Sotomayor's record, but also her testimony before the Judiciary Committee. So I congratulate the Republican leader on a very thoughtful statement, and one that I think makes very clear the reason why he reached a difficult decision to oppose the nomination of Judge Sotomayor for the United States Supreme Court. Mr. President, I just want to say that we are supposed to be on the Department of Defense authorization bill. Obviously, we are not. We are on the hate crimes bill, which the majority leader decided was important enough to replace the proceedings of the United States Senate on the defense authorization bill and the very urgent mission that we have, and obligation and duties we have as a Congress to authorize the means necessary to defend the security of this nation and the men and women who are defending it. And so we'll be wrapped around the axle on amendments and which ones are allowed and time agreements. And I'm not saying that this legislation would have moved forward smoothly. There always is some difficulties. But now for many years I've been involved in the authorization bill. And it's the first time I ever saw the majority leader of the Senate come forward and propose a comprehensive piece of legislation which had not gone through the Committee of Authorization. And of course, this side of the aisle then had to, as is our right, propose an amendment of our own. And now, of course, there's some reluctance on this side of the aisle to agree to a time agreement, and so we go back and forth. Meanwhile, the men and women are in two wars, and they don't quite understand why we don't just move forward and do what our oath of office requires us to do, and that's to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So I continue to work with the distinguished chairman, and I hope we'll work together to get the legislation moving again. I understand there's 4 amendments considered on the hate crimes bill, and the gun amendment has been introduced, and there may be amendments on that and time agreements. Meanwhile, the issue of the F-22, whether we continue production of it or not, is set aside while we debate non-germane amendments to the defense authorization bill. So I guess what's probably going to happen from previous experience, and I don't know, but probably around Thursday, the majority leader will come to the floor here and say that we haven't moved forward and we haven't made progress, blame it on this side of the aisle, and file cloture. And then we will have a vote on cloture. And I would imagine that given, I don't know how that vote turns out. It depends on whether members on both sides of the aisle feel that their amendments or their views have been adequately addressed. But I am convinced that we would have moved forward with the authorization bill, that we probably could have addressed the issue of the F-22. And I do not say that this side of the aisle is blameless, but I do understand why, when we knew that hate crimes was going to be brought up, that those who feel strongly on this side of the aisle, including the fact that it never went through the Judiciary Committee, it's never been reported out, but is added on a defense authorization bill, had their concerns. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and it's not really a good statement about the way we represent the American people, because of any legislation we should be moving forward on. And I'll take responsibility on this side of the aisle too, that it certainly is the defense authorization bill. I believe that there's an unbroken record of approval of the defense authorization bill over a many-year period of time. I hope that on behalf of the greater good, that we could sit down and work out amendments and work through the hate crimes and the legislation by the senator from South Dakota, the amendment by the senator from South Dakota, and we can move forward and get this issue resolved. This isn't, I don't think it's the right way to do business, particularly when we're talking about the defense of the nation. So I pledge to my colleague from Michigan, and distinguished chairman who I've had the great honor of working with for many years, that we'll try and work through this. But I still maintain the fact that the majority leader of the United States Senate felt it necessary to bring a hate crimes bill up before the Senate on a defense authorization bill, which is clearly not germane, triggered this situation that we are in today. Having said that, what it is what it is, and so I will go back in the back now and see where we can work out amendments, see if we can work out an agreement to have the hate crimes vote, to have the gun vote, and then hopefully work with the target of tomorrow morning voting on the F-22, since that is as we've discussed more in the past on the floor of the Senate, the importance of that vote is far transcendent of any single weapon system. It's really all about whether we're going to have business as usual and spend taxpayers' money on what the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and our other military leaders think that money should be spent on the Joint Strike Fighter rather than further production of the F-22. From what I understand, it may be a close vote and a very interesting one, and I wish we were spending more time debating that than hate crimes and gun amendments. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Michigan.
Mr. President, first of all, we are operating now under unanimous